Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Vishwa Talks. My name is Mani. Thank you all for attending today's event. For those of you who have attended a Vishwa Talk before, a warm welcome back. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, here's a little bit about us. Vishwa Talks is an initiative by Vishwa. Vishwa is an online platform for everyday change makers and social champions. It's a crowdfunding and crowdsourcing platform that is aimed at helping anyone find the support they need in their efforts and endeavors to help themselves and help others, and in the process, make the world a better place. Vishwa Talks are a series of weekly webinars hosted every Saturday that are focused at understanding from experts in-depth knowledge on a wide range of topics that are pertinent to the current context. Today's Vishwa Talk is in partnership with Break the Silence. Break the Silence is an initiative by the concerned citizens of the twin cities of Hyderabad and Secunderabad. It was started in June 2013 to bring about awareness about sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and to educate, empower teachers, children, parents to prevent child sexual abuse. Our speaker today is Mrs. Tinky Bharadwaj, a founder member of Break the Silence. Mrs. Bharadwaj is a gold medalist in psychological counseling skills from St. Francis College, Hyderabad. Working as a psychological counselor, she has been a volunteer with Roshni Trust for the last 23 years and is a lead trainer and their former director. She has worked as a soft skills trainer for 13 years for IT companies such as ADP, IntelliGroup, DE Shaw, Microsoft, Polaris, amongst others. Today, Mrs. Bharadwaj is going to be talking to us about the prevention of child sexual abuse, also referred to as CSA, and the severity of the situation in India. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that our speaker will be taking questions from you after her main talk. So please raise a hand or type your questions in the chat and we'll address them. Now, without further ado, if I may please ask our speaker to please start today's Vishwa Talk.
Thank you, Mani. A very good morning to all of you present here. It is my privilege to represent Break the Silence on Vishwa Talks today. 19th November is World Day for Prevention of Child Sexual Abuse. It aims to raise awareness and to mobilize and educate citizens to take preventive action. A startling reality is that online child sexual abuse spiked during the pandemic and a high number of cases were reported. A sad reality also is that CSA is prevalent everywhere, in wealthy homes, in the slums, in our neighborhoods, in rural villages, and in cities. And it is really heartening to know that so many concerned people are present here today. I would like to start by clarifying what exactly child sexual abuse is. A child is anybody legally, a child is anyone who is below the age of 18. It is the use of a child, it could be a girl or a boy, by an adult or by an older adolescent for sexual gratification or erotic stimulation with or without physical contact. Without physical contact, for example, online or on WhatsApp messages, and it includes both touching and non-touching behaviors. Next slide, please. The main thing about this is the secrecy, because that is what ties the child to the abuser. The bond is created, so they don't talk about it. The child feels helpless, keeps on accommodating, may hint at being abused, but often retracts what they have shared. And both touching and non-touching behaviors are counted as sexual abuse. Non-touching would even include words, pictures, gestures with a sexual overtone. The child does not understand what is happening. They cannot give informed consent. They are not even developmentally prepared for it. It violates the law and social norms, and it is prior to the legal age of consent. So what this means is that even if a person who is maybe 16 or 17 or not yet 18, even if they give their consent, it would still be counted as child abuse because it is below the age of 18, which by law is the age, till the age of 18, a person is considered to be a child. Next. So I'll just talk about a few myths and facts. Mostly people believe only adolescents can be abused. In actual fact, even young children as young as 5 years have been abused, although most abuse occurs between the ages of 12 and 15. The abuser cannot be easily identified. They are normal people like you and me, holding down jobs with a family, leading normal lives, and they are not mentally ill. It is a fantasy they have, and given the opportunity and access to a child, the abuse happens. Another myth is that only girls are abused. Both boys and girls are abused. In fact, often children with mental or physical disability are also abused. Children cannot make up stories about abuse because they can only speak about what they experience, what they see, and what they hear. So if children talk about it, it's important to sit up and hear what they have to say. Don't just dismiss it. Minors can and do commit sexual abuse, and sexual abuse by family members is common but not reported due to the shame and the fear that the family will break up. So how do we keep our children safe? The more we know about abuse, the more we can help our children. So these are some facts. 1 in 10 children will be abused before the age of 18, and 90% of child sexual abuse victims know their abuser. The abuser's desire to abuse is not created by the child. It is there before the child appears. It is because of the opportunity, access, and the trust of the child and family in the abuser that allows the abuse to happen. Next. So I think we all need to know a little bit about this so that we are aware, because we all know prevention is better than cure. Next slide. Now, who can an abuser be? It can be anyone, an acquaintance or a stranger, a parent, boss, friend, sibling, co-worker, coach, spouse, an older child. So we often tell children to be about stranger danger, be careful of stranger, but a lot of abuse happens within the home. And this is what we need to be very alert about. And who are the children who do get abused? Besides the fact that they are easily accessible, the abuser is being trusted, and there is an opportunity. Children who have low self-esteem because they believe that they are not lovable, that they are not loved. They tend to get drawn by the abuser's shower of affection and praise and gifts, and that builds a bond. Also, children are taught unquestioning obedience to authority, and often they want to say no, but they're not able to because that's something they have been taught never to do. So we need to tell children that they need to think before they agree to doing something. And because the perpetrator is trusted, they get easy access to the child at any and every time. Next slide. Now, how does it happen? It happens by a process called grooming. So it is a planned process, a gradual process. First, the abuser gains the trust of the parent or the caretaker and the child. Then they start by, building a bond they give gifts, they lavish attention, they may take them out for treats or an ice cream or a movie, whatever is allowed. And once the emotional bond is formed, then it can start with safe touches, like, just patting the child on the back or shaking hands. And slowly the touch begins to change. The child is not able to understand what is happening. They break down their inhibitions, and then they start manipulating the child by threatening them, either physically forcing them or coercing them. And very often, because of the fear of punishment or threat, children keep quiet and just allow the abuse to happen. So as adults, we need to age appropriately, always make our children aware that it's important that they keep themselves safe and that nobody is allowed to touch them without their permission. Next slide. Why don't children say no to the abuser? Because they don't understand. It's never been talked about. They don't know that it is wrong. So often at home, it's a subject which is not discussed. Even if children ask, it's ignored, or they distract the child by talking about something else. Instead, it's important, again, age appropriately, to tell the child that there are some parts of your body which are not to be touched by anybody. Once you open this line of communication, then children will feel comfortable talking about and reporting abuse. Next slide. The reason they don't disclose, one is they don't know. Also, because of the adult reactions, often parents will blame them that I told you not to go alone, I told you not to go in the lift or whatever. And they don't believe what the child says, or they say, no, this is nothing, this is nothing. Or they deny that, they tell the child, don't tell stories, this is not true, you are imagining. In one school, a young child, primary child, did tell the teacher that somebody was continuously touching her inappropriately. And when the mother was called, she says, no, I think she's either been dreaming or she's watching TV serials, and that is why she's talking like this. So when parents deny, it's difficult to help a child. And this is especially so if the perpetrator is a family member. And why do parents deny it? Because they feel guilty for not being able to look after their child. They're angry at the person who has perpetrated the abuse, and they feel helpless because in some situations, there's nothing they can do to stop the abuse. There have been instances which have come to light where older girls had been cutting themselves, and when the counselor had asked, they said it is because of the abuse going on at home. The mother refused to talk about it and would just tell the girl, see, it's just a matter of time. Once you are married, then the abuse will stop. So she was probably just helpless and didn't know how to stop it. Often they are traumatized because of their own past abuse and worried that the family will break up because of the incest. Next slide. So these are some of the reactions that children have given, that I did talk about it, nobody heard me, I was told keep quiet, don't tell anybody. My parents actually said it was my fault. And if you tell someone, they may go to jail. And the children, can you imagine that child, how helpless they would be feeling when they get no support? Next slide, please. Now, children can disclose in many ways. They can do it directly, indirectly, they can do it accidentally, or actually deliberately tell the parent or an adult that it's happening. And often they do it with hostility, anger, aggression, because they don't know how else to do it. Little children often do it through their play. They play with the soft toys, and through that they indicate that something is happening, or through their drawings. And as adults, we can either close the door in their face, or we can open a line of communication. When we ask things like, what happened? You look sad today. Has someone hurt you? Do you want to talk about something? You can tell me anything you want to. I would like to know what is happening. I want to keep you safe. Whereas when adults tell children, please keep quiet, you don't know what you're talking, you're not to tell anyone. If you say that again, you see what happens. You're too young to understand. This actually means that a door has been shut in their faces. And once rebuffed, a child may never again muster up the courage to talk about it and will just go through the abuse and through the effects of abuse. And believe me, the effects of the abuse last a lifetime. It is something which is never forgotten and affects their lives in many, many ways. So when a child comes and says, Mama, listen to me, I want to talk to you, I don't think anything else is as important as giving your full attention to the child. Pay attention to the child's demeanor, to their body language, to their tone of voice. Are they sounding distressed? In which case, urgent attention and giving your focus to the child is extremely important. So what does a child who's being abused feel? Firstly, there is confusion because when they're very young, they really don't understand what is happening. There's also a sense of shame at any age, because though they don't understand, they somewhere feel there is something wrong happening. It's happening to me, it's happening to my body, and I know it shouldn't be happening, but I don't know what to do, and I'm ashamed of what is happening. There is a fear because of threats, a fear of what parents will say, some guilt because children sometimes feel, there were so many other children. Did I do something that the abuser chose me? There is a great sense of sadness because somebody they have trusted has let them down, and also anger at the person, if the person is a family member or a loved one. They feel helpless, they feel powerless, and it is only when they are heard and they are believed, they are not blamed, and they are assured protection from the abuser, that a great sense of relief comes and the child does not feel that they are battling this alone. Next one. So what are some of the signs? So at an emotional level, there is unexplained fear. The parents might wonder suddenly, no, I don't want to stay alone. I don't want to go to that uncle's house. Please don't call me when they come to our house. I don't like to meet them. And we don't listen to the child's cries. We just tell them, no, this is bad manners. You have to come and you have to meet them. So please pay attention, find out what is upsetting the child. Sometimes they're very anxious. They are hyper vigilant. The slightest sound can disturb them. And very often they are afraid of certain places, like if a child has been touched inappropriately, maybe in a lift, or maybe in one of the classrooms in a school, or maybe in a neighbor's house, they will not want to go to that place, and the parents don't understand what has happened, why suddenly. So if there is a sudden change, we need to investigate what has happened. For a little older children, there may be confusion over their sexual identity. If it is a male abuser abusing a male child, then the child may have some confusion, and similarly for a female also. Physiologically, there would be eating disorders, stomach pains, nausea, headaches, which are inexplicable. There is no apparent reason, even when examined by the doctor. They will often say there is something bothering this child. There is no physiological reason. Behavioral, clinging, regressive behaviors for little children, bedwetting. They will go back to thumb sucking. They'll want to hang on to the parent, maybe the mother mostly. Academically, drastic changes in their performance, attention in class, mood swings. I think what, as parents and teachers, what we really need to look out for are changes in the personality. A person who is bubbly, extroverted, outgoing, fun-loving, suddenly withdraws into a shell and becomes quiet. It is not always abuse, but we need to investigate what is happening, and that should be done along with the teacher, the counselor, school counselor, and the parents, because parents wouldn't know what's happening in school, and the school teachers wouldn't know what's happening in the house. But this is something which could be kept in mind. For older children also, repetitive sexual behavior, sexually abusive language, sometimes Girls may try to cover their entire body. There's a complete change in the way they dress, or they become overtly sexual and dress in a completely different way. Next one. So the saddest effect of child sexual abuse is the child can no longer trust. And losing one's trust in people you love or in anyone is something which is very, very, very sad. They not only distrust others, but they also stop trusting themselves because they feel that I really don't know how I should behave and what should I do that people don't look at me and don't misuse me or my body. There may be avoidance or aversion or obsession with the opposite sex. So this all varies from individual to individual. And little children often reenact their own abuse. Many incidents have come to light during our sessions in schools, where when a child has been found to be abusing means they were like maybe undressing another child, or then when they were asked, they said, this is what happens in my home. So when they're reenacting that, that is again a warning sign that they themselves have been victims of abuse. It could also, for the older children, lead to substance abuse, addiction, and I'm not specifying any age. It could even happen at the age of 10, 11, or maybe later in the teens. It could lead to isolation, and there's a self-hatred because they feel dirty and sullied, and often hostility, aggression, mood swings, because they don't know how to deal with their thoughts. The thoughts are predominant. They are never able to forget it, which is the reason for their poor academic performance also. And in some cases, when abuse continues unabated, it could lead to depression, it could lead to mental illness, self-injury, and or suicide. So by self-injury, here it is, they inflict a physical injury. So they may bang the head against the wall, they may slap themselves. Often they are found to cut themselves, not with the intention of ending the life, only with the intention of inflicting physical pain, because that physical pain helps to reduce the emotional pain that they are experiencing because of the abuse. So that needs to be also checked. What does an abused child need? We need to remember, we need to tell them and to remember, it is never the child's fault. It is always the person who did the touching, who abused the child. It is always their fault. The primary thing is they need family support and love, because no child can fight this alone. They need to be kept safe and protected from the perpetrator. They need that the abuse stops. And for the abuse to stop, they need to talk about it. To talk about it, they need a family or an adult whom they can trust and who will believe them without blaming, scolding, firing, or putting them down. And they also need to be reassured that it was not their fault. They have done nothing wrong. They are not responsible for the wrongdoing of another person who's probably maybe an adult and who knows the difference between right and wrong. So they have not done anything wrong. They must be allowed to tell it in their own words, but not to be repeated again and again in front of many people. Once, if they tell it to the person they trust, it should be then kept confidential, except like if they tell a teacher, the teacher needs to inform the principal needs to call the parents and inform them. But it's not, for example, in school, if a teacher gets to know, she may need to talk to the principal and the counselor may need to talk to the child. But it should not become a topic of a staff room discussion. All teachers do not have to be informed. What other teachers may need to be informed about is that this person in the school, I think the action would be taken and that services would be terminated. But the child's identity must not be revealed to anybody. They need to be told what is going to happen next, how they will be kept safe, so that they don't continue to suffer the trauma. And to give closure, counseling is a must, so that The counselor knows how to deal with the child's emotions, how to change their thought process so that the child may never forget it, but they are able to move on and they are not stuck at that point in their lives. Now, the role of teachers is very important because most of the waking hours are spent in school. Children are there in the morning from say 8:30 to 2:30 or 3:30. And teachers have the knowledge, the training, the opportunity to observe children's behavior over a period of time, to see, is there some change? Why is this person behaving out of character? This child who's normally quiet has become aggressive, or this extroverted, bubbly girl has become very quiet and withdrawn, seems to be pensive or is crying from time to time. And noticing these changes in their attitude, behavior, performance is extremely important. I think all of us as teachers do tend to focus a lot on completing the syllabus and things like that, which is very important. But the mental health of a child is also very, very important. And teachers have the potential to teach these protective behaviors, and they must be reiterated from time to time. So we teach something to the primary children, and then it's over a period of time, they will probably forget it. So maybe every 6 months, just a short session, I will be talking about what are the things we can actually tell the children so that there is some concrete way of dealing with prevention. So we must start awareness early, and from Break the Silence, we have done almost 80 sessions in the last so many years, 7 years, 8 years of our existence. And when we speak to the primary school children, we are really surprised to know that they know a lot about it. They know what they should say. And when we ask them, they tell us, see, this is what I have to do. This is what I must not do. Just like I don't run across the road, so also I don't go with strangers and I don't allow them to touch me in my private parts. They even tell us that. So please remember, the child today is very smart. So let us start awareness early. Next. As parents, we need to start the awareness very early when they are still at home, before they start going to play school and to regular school. Teach the body safety rules. Please name the body parts. Don't keep some nicknames or anything. Words that you use, they will be comfortable using. And one thing we need to tell our children, it is never okay to touch, to see, or to talk about another's private parts, or for others to do the same. It is not a topic of discussion. This must be reiterated. You need to look for the right time. Maybe when a mother is bathing the child, at that point, it can just come up in the conversation, but can be reiterated over a period of time. When they ask questions, please don't ignore them. Answer them age appropriately, and tell them that, look, if somebody does touch you and you feel uncomfortable, you must not keep it a secret. Please come and tell me, or whoever else is the caretaker, the grandparent, or maybe an older aunt or sibling, whoever. But you must keep telling a trusted adult till something is done about it. Generally, children with disabilities who are dependent on caretakers are very reluctant to disclose, because it has often come out that they have allowed it to happen because they didn't know what to do and whom to approach. They were not in a position where they could talk about it. The next slide, please. So children might ask, so when you say private, what do you mean? So let's give them an example. Private is also your name. It is your home address, your school, which school you go to, where your parents work. It could be for older children, your contact number, your email address, your passwords, even your own pictures. Please don't keep posting your pictures online or with sharing with people whom you don't know. And also, some parts of your body are private. And we actually tell the children, this is one of the things that is told to all children, primary school children, the private parts are your lips, your chest, the part between your legs and your bottoms. And believe me, all the children already know this. When adults talk about it, they feel comfortable that it's okay to talk about it in a context of reporting abuse, but not otherwise. Next slide. We also need to talk to them about touch, safe touch versus unsafe touch. So a safe touch is like, a pat on the back, on the head, or a hug by the parent, or a high five, or shaking hands. It is warm, caring, nurturing. A person feels supported and loved and nourished. We all need this kind of touch. And it does not diminish the child or anybody else. Unsafe touch is it hurts the child, especially when it is coercive, abusive, or it inflicts pain. It often disregards a child's feeling and makes them feel bad. And it's as if something is wrong in some way. And this is the manipulation that the abuser uses. They start with a safe touch, a handshake, a pat on the back, a high five, and that touch, maybe a pat on the back, may just turn into a caress or a something, or a pinch, or a slight nudge or something, which the child feels, what went wrong? Something is wrong. I don't like it. Why is this happening? But it happens so gradually and so subtly, the child cannot understand, by then trusts the abuser, and so just goes along, keeps accommodating, and the abuse keeps going on. So if the touch is unsafe, then the right thing to tell the children, we tell them, there are 3 magic words that you must always remember if you feel uncomfortable about what someone is doing. So it's not even if they don't touch you, but if they're showing you pictures or sending you text messages, or if they undress or try to undress you, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Please remember, loudly, you must shout no. So loudly that a lot of people hear you. After that, go to a safe place where other people are present, and tell someone whom you trust, an adult whom you trust. So the 3 magic words we tell them: no, go, tell. When they are left with these 3 words, they will remember, and when the time comes, they remember that this is what we have to do. So what are safe places? And next slide. A safe place is a busy public area. It could be a cafe, a store, a mall, a school. For older children, even they can report it to the police. And unsafe places are deserted streets. Someone may say, come, I'll walk you home. Let's take this shortcut. You'll reach in 2 minutes. Why do you want to go such a long way? So we need to tell our children, if you're used to walking alone, don't go with anybody. Don't take shortcuts. Only walk on familiar roads. No isolated parks, no isolated shopping areas, and in the villages, rural areas, no woods or forests, even in hill stations and all, where there are a lot of those narrow little pagdandis, what they are called. Do not take those paths, because that is where, even if they shout for help, they may not get help in time. So we need to tell them about the difference between these two. The third thing we need to talk about with children is what is a secret versus a surprise. So surprise is something nice. You plan it for a birthday or as a treat for somebody. A secret can be good or bad. And when it's a secret, like, tomorrow's Papa's birthday, don't tell him we're getting him a gift. It's a good secret. You're doing something to make somebody happy. A bad secret, any secret about your body, is considered to be a bad secret from the child's point of view. Good secrets make you happy. Bad secrets trouble you. You're not happy about it. And they should not be kept. And especially if it's about your body, you need to tell your parents or whoever, your caretaker, teacher, whoever it is, if it's in school. And it is never okay to be touched inappropriately. In fact, this was brought to light in a school where 2 children, very young children, were just, I think, maybe just exploring or whatever. And when one was asked, why did you let this happen? The answer was that because I was told that if I don't allow this, then they will not be my friend. So you imagine the threats that start that young in life. So tell them it is not appropriate. Even if someone stops being your friend, it is all right, doesn't matter. But nobody should touch you inappropriately. Next slide. Now the child says, okay, it has happened to me. It has been happening to me. It happened to me yesterday or last month or for the last 3 months. As adults, especially parents, we tend to react and, we become angry or we become what? And we act shocked. And this itself adds to the burden of the child. So it's important to just take a deep breath, sit down, make the child sit down, say, okay, tell me about it. I want to know what happened. I'm going to believe you. And remember, I know it is not your fault. Ask open-ended questions. Ask like what happened. Let them talk. Don't say, okay, did he touch you? Where, when, how? Not like that. Okay. Ask them. But what you really need to know is what happened, where it happened, when it happened, since when it has been happening, and who the person was, because this is the minimal facts that as parents or teachers, as adults, we need to know. And once the child has informed you, let it be. Do not go back and say, try and think again. Is there anything else? No. Every time the child talks about the abuse, he relives the abuse and it disturbs him. So remember, once is enough and not to be repeated again and again in front of everybody. And of course, reporting is mandatory today by law. I will talk about the POCSO Act. And remember that more than 90% of the time, the child is telling the truth. Now, there may be some exceptions, when two children who are maybe in their late teens, but under the age of 18, if they are caught in some compromising position, I mean, either of them could say that, it was the other's fault. That is likely to happen. To save their skin, they are likely to do that. I think then they would need counseling and whatever. So there are instances, very rarely, when the blame is put on the other person, when in fact it is not the other, it is actually consensual. But never ignore, don't shame, and don't blame. These are the 3 don'ts, especially for all of us adults. So what we must do is that confront. So if it is someone who is in the house, in the family, a relative, a neighbor, maybe a friend, we need to confront them and not pretend that nothing happened. We need to blame and tell others. If it's somebody who's working in the building, others need to be told that, look, this person is not safe. So I think we need to take action. We need to report, and they should not be allowed to, because actually, if we don't report, what happens is the abuser only leaves that place, goes away to another area, and the abuse continues. So what we've done is we've saved our children, but there are many other children who can continue to be abused. The abuse will not stop. Once the abuser has been abusing, they will continue to abuse. So we have to restrict access to the child by the abuser, keep the identity confidential, and of course, 90% of all abuse is never reported, or is sometimes reported years and years later. Very often when we do awareness programs in public, some of the people who are attending, in the public, they actually stand up and they say, today I'm confessing for the first time that it happened to me. When I was a child, I did tell my family, but no one believed me. And it continued till I became old enough to resist, or I had to leave that place and go away. So people just keep it to themselves because of the shame and because they get no support. So we need to listen and to believe the child. Next one. So the 2 close friends, ignorance and denial, and abuse will continue. Next slide, please. So remember the 4 steps for the children. We had said no, go, tell, body rules, and safe, unsafe touch, good and bad secrets. And for us, we should know, educate ourselves, minimize opportunity, one-on-one interaction with adult and child as far as possible, talk about body safety, boundaries, and recognize the signs. Next slide. Older children, I think the biggest responsibility of parents and perhaps teachers to some extent is respecting others irrespective of gender. So there is no, he's a boy, it's okay, you are a girl, it's not okay. No, we need to respect girls, boys, everybody, and teach them to recognize touch. If somebody does touch, was it accidental or deliberate? They would know it surely. To respect others' boundaries, that private space, that they can go up to that point and not beyond that, and to resist bullying and coercion, threats and blackmail, and talk about it, report abuse, but only when the family stands by them. And as teachers and parents, please acknowledge, appreciate, reward the good things that your children do, because that builds self-esteem. And with that, they have better social skills. And with family and peer support, they are better empowered to withstand any kind of force or abuse from anyone. Next one. So this is the POCSO Act of 2012. Which is the protection of children from sexual offenses. It is all available on the website. You could also Google it. I'll just mention one or two, a few salient points. So anybody below, next one please, is below the age of 18 is considered a child. All forms of touching, non-touching behaviors, gestures, pictures, etc., sexual assault, all are punishable depending on the gravity of the offense. The punishment is based on that. The child has the right to get legal intervention and counseling. There's no question of not being able to afford it. Aggravated assault is if the child is either mentally ill, physically disabled, or is abused by protectors. Protectors, according to the law, are the family, parents, any family members, teachers, doctors, and police, and religious heads. So then it becomes aggravated assault and the punishment goes up. Mandatory reporting, else there is fine, imprisonment, or both. Next slide, please. Child-friendly provisions are there. Once it is recorded, after that, the child does not have to keep repeating it. There is speedy trial within a year. It has to be completed. And the nature and extent of the child's injuries and the identity of the person who has abused. Interestingly, once a person is abused, they have to prove that they are innocent. It is taken that they are offenders till they prove otherwise. So I think that is the POCSO Act. There may be a few more additions. You could read that up on Google. Next slide, please. Next slide. As a bystander, you can, if you observe anything, please intervene, support, seek support of neighbors, gather people so that the perpetrator is not let loose. And remember, children can't stop the abuse, only adults can. So it takes one question. Are you okay? Is there something I can do to help? One person, if each one takes that responsibility, then together we can all definitely bring down the incidence of child sexual abuse. Next one. These are some of the books that are available online. So for those who would like to, it's a very easy way to explain to children and through pictures, tell them about how to keep their bodies safe. So in fact, we tell our children that just like when you go to school, who's in charge of your bag and your water bottle and your pencil box and your books? They are. So they say, we are in charge. So who's in charge of your body? So they say, we are in charge. Yes, you are. So if somebody hits you, pushes you, pinches you, pummels you, pulls your hair, do you take it? They said, no, we report it. So if someone touches you in your private parts, it's the same thing. Please report it immediately. So just relate it to what they already know, and it becomes much easier for them to take in that information and for us to educate them so that they remain safe.
Thank you so much, Tinky ma'am. That was truly eye-opening. And I think this is the need of the hour. And I think the work that Break the Silence is doing is extremely, extremely crucial for all of us as a society. Now, ma'am, we'll take a short break. I will hand it over to Mrs. Shrivani, who is the founder and visionary behind Vishwa, to say a few words. We do this for the sake of the YouTube video, so that we can have a 1 hour unedited, uninterrupted clip. We will definitely come back after the closing remarks to take all the other questions. So please keep posting your questions in the chat box or raise a hand. We will ask you to ask your questions, allow you to ask your questions in person. Now, if I may please ask Mrs. Shrivani, ma'am, please say a few words.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Tinky Bharadwaj. This is a much needed topic to be spoken. And it needs a lot of courage to bring a topic like this out in our society, especially in a society where we are all conscious about our family, our reputation, don't talk about it. And there's so many young souls who are impacted in a big way. This may be a small contribution by you, but it can protect so many people's lives. This drive for awareness that you have taken up with Break the Silence is a wonderful initiative. We really appreciate it. I would also like to thank each of the participants for coming to this seminar, which is a very touchy subject, and for understanding the importance of it and to make it a success. We would like you all to share, if you like this, with other family members, friends, about this seminar. We would also like to thank Vishwa Talks team. You all have done a wonderful job. In such a short period of time, you all have reached out to as many as you could, in spite of not having too many contacts with any of the existing schools. You all did your best. We wish the participants, if any of you all are aware of other schools who can take value out of it, please give us the rest in each of the schools, who are the persons that need to be contacted so that we can pass on these kind of webinars with them. Vishwa Talks is a space where we would like to bring about change, a social change in our society. We would like to expand the horizons of our minds. Every webinar, we call experts from different domains to discuss, to examine different opinions, to examine the issues, to examine the problems and different perspectives. Each webinar is an interactive session where we all walk away with more respect for each other and a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. We would welcome you as participants if you feel that there is any particular topic that needs to be addressed, which is the need of the day. Please bring it to our notice. For example, if any of you all have watched Uttar Punjab, you all know the situation of the drug situation in Punjab. We want people like you to come forward and say, if this is what we're going to face in Andhra or Telangana, come forward. We would request speakers to come forward and speak about topics that are going to impact us, our families, our society. We would now talk a little bit about Vishwa.org. Vishwa.org is a crowdsourcing platform for social impact causes. Any of you want to support a change maker or is a change maker and you want to make a difference in society, this is the platform for you. You can come to our platform. You can talk about the subjects. You can, if you have already been doing work in a particular area, You can raise funds out here. You can request for volunteers. You can request for materials. We're presently we're focusing on 6 causes: health and family welfare, ecology, human rights, art and culture, community development, and education. If any of you all are aware of NGOs or change makers who are making a lot of difference, please share with us their information. We would like to reach out to them and bring their work across to the society. We have successfully closed our first fundraiser with Roshni Trust. They have been working towards taking mental health to the streets of Hyderabad and Secunderabad. Biological Events, a special thanks to Biological Events for funding this project. Thank you so much. We are now having another 2 projects. One of them is a small Zilla Parishad High School at Pedakapavaram village, Akividu, West Godavari. Here is an alumni who's studied in the school, and this school was going to be shut down for lack of proper infrastructure facilities. Here is Katari Venkat Krishna, who has been working endlessly the past couple of years and who's reconstructed the buildings where children were sitting on floors. He's made benches for them. He's made a computer lab for them. He's done a lot of work. And he's requesting us for a water treatment plant so that children of that area, of that school, can have safe drinking water. If not for him, this school would have been closed and 400 students from that village would have had to travel at least another 5 kilometers for another school. And most girls would have been deprived of education. We request those of you who are interested in donating to this cause, please do. Or if you know someone who would be interested, please share it with them. There is also Auroville Foundation, a lady called Auronivi, who is a German born and brought up in Tamil Nadu, who has adopted 30 acres of barren land. She and a team of 9 to 10 people with their bare hands have converted this barren land into a lush forest using native trees, ensuring that there is no soil erosion and ensuring that comes back the diversity in animals, in insects. Such people, such change makers are people we need to support. It is these people who have given a lifetime serving us and our ecology, who need to be respected, acknowledged, appreciated, and supported. Let their lives not go for waste. This lady has been working for the last 15 years on this project with her bare hands. Now her request is that they should be given an excavator so that they can do better works in the coming years to contribute to our country and our society and our land. So if there is anybody who would like to donate, please do. If not, refer to people who can, to companies, CSR companies, please do so. Thank you so much. With this, we will be closing the session. Mani, you can continue with, and Mrs. Tinky, you can continue with the question and answer session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shrivani ma'am. Tinky ma'am, if you don't mind, we'll take a few more questions from the audience.
Yeah, Mani, just one thing before we start the questions. I would just like to mention that 2 of my colleagues, both founder members, are also present here today. One is Priya Pathak and the other is Nalini Kidambi. So they're also here today.
Hello, Priya ma'am. Hello, Nalini ma'am. Would you like to say any words, Priya ma'am, to add to the session, or Nalini ma'am?
I think Tinky has addressed everything that is of importance to say. One of the things I noticed, one of the questions briefly was about more sessions for schools. So a number of us have been doing sessions for schools online for various schools. That would also be something that would be doable. You can approach the numbers that have been given to book sessions with Break the Silence for schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The contact details for Break the Silence will be shared. I asked my team to share it here in the chat right now, please. But everyone who has attended this event, you will get an email from us with all the relevant details for you to seek help or for you to connect organizations to break the silence. Tinky ma'am and Priya ma'am, please, if we would love either one of you to answer this. One of the questions, one of the things, Tinky ma'am, you said is once an offender, always an offender. And we have to be careful. Sheetal Lakhani and Manu Ravindran are basically, their question is about reform. Can we as a society help sex offenders, especially CSA offenders, whether they are mentally ill or not, to reform them and their ways through maybe mental health interventions, especially juvenile offenders? Is there any way to bring them out and make them functioning, safe part of the society?
I think that is a very valid question. And unfortunately now, you see, there is a certain law, and once it is reported, the person is apprehended, then law will take its course. When they are not taken to court, if they are juvenile offenders, then they are taken, there is a separate procedure for them. How long the punishment is, we really don't know. They probably will have counseling when they're, in prison. There would be some kind of counseling done for them. I don't know whether anyone has taken up this cause of actually rehabilitating them in terms of helping them to understand. Again, counseling will be very important, because we need to somewhere understand where is this behavior coming from. First, we need to understand that. And then what is it that makes them do this? We've said that it's a grooming process. Is it just an impulsive act, or is it when they get an opportunity, they never miss a chance? So for that, there are a lot of issues that would have to be found out. I don't know if anyone is in this. We also have here with us today Mr. Ramesh Kedambi, and he is, I would say, the visionary who thought of this idea that let us work in this field of let us start doing something to prevent. So Ramesh, if you're here, you could also answer some questions. If you would like to say something, please go ahead. If it was not for Ramesh, I don't think any of us would have even, got into this particular space. So are you there, Ramesh?
Yes.
I ask my team. Yeah. Hello, Ramesh,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, everyone. Yes, what's the question? I can take the question. So happy to
So
see so many.
the question is there any way to reform offenders, CSA or otherwise sex offenders, on a social level, on a larger scale, so that they may reintegrate into society in a safe and productive way?
Honestly, no such thing is actually happening in India currently. But when we say once an offender, always an offender, it is just that what happens is the offender kind of gets stronger by the day. I mean, typically we have data that says that an offender can go on to abuse about 60 to 70 children, if not stop on time. Just that they get stronger and they get, honestly, there is no work in that field because, reporting itself is so low. So how would you identify the offender? That's the problem. But right now, what has happened, I also saw a question which says, what is the, punishment for the offender? For starters, the government of India, after the POCSO, has come out very, very strongly. So for one, it's become an unbailable offense. So typically, the perpetrator goes in for 90 days, and he has to prove himself. There's no way that he can say the child is lying, etc., etc. Because the law is very clear. Children never lie. 99.99%, they never lie about child sexual abuse. So the process starts, and we are seeing a lot of conviction happening of late. So there is hope. It's only now in the last 2 years, especially after the POCSO came into place, that kind of things are settling down, and people are talking about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have one more question, and I think this is very pertinent to a lot of the young parents we might have today in our audience. We all live very, very busy lives. Usually both parents are working, they are doing their 9 to 5, they have to leave the house. Children are either left at home with nannies, or more often than not, they are in school and they have to walk back home, or catch a school bus back home, or for lower income groups, catch a RTC bus, a regular city bus back home. And in the United States, they use slogans such as stranger danger to help create a certain awareness in the child's mind that beware of strangers. What is it that we can do? And the question actually has come from a gentleman who's talking about how to prevent any of these attacks out in the public, when a child is walking on the road, or when a child is playing out on the street. As a parent, what are these little mitigating efforts that we can make?
So it is unlikely to happen actually where it's a busy, crowded place, unless the child knows the perpetrator, it has the trusts the person, and the family has given sanction that if this person comes to pick you up or wants to take you out, it's all right. And the perpetrator is likely to take the child away to a place which is secluded, to some house or some place under construction, or wherever it would depend on where they are. It will never happen in a crowded place, because that is something where immediately others would come to the child's rescue. The thing is to warn the child that they would not go out with anyone. So even to the extent where we warn a child, now all schools they've got a card which gives the name of the child and the picture of the parent. And if the parent is not able to go, like if I have to go to pick up my grandchild, then that card is given to me and the teacher is called that she will come and pick up the child. So nobody can just say that, today the parents are not there, come fast, I'll take you. Some things like that. The child has to be warned that they will never go anywhere with anybody, even if they trust the person. It's a very sad state of affairs, actually. It's very, very sad. And it has come to light that in some schools where there are construction sites next door, children walking to school are lured away by, watchmen or other people who are hanging around. Come, we'll give you sweets, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And that has later come to light when they found out, where is this girl, where is this child, where is this boy? And they were told, and they go and find out. That's how they get to know. So this continuously reminding this child by both parents and teachers, maybe do role plays. Actually, we've got some very nice posters. Break the Silence was mentored by Tulir, based in Chennai. And they have some beautiful posters, which we give to the schools that we visit, where pictorially they have explained everything. So it's like a constant, don't parents tell their children, beta, brush your teeth, settle your room. I mean, it's like a constant reminder. So this not every day, but yes, from time to time. And spending time with the child to know where they went, whom they met, what happened. Did something make them sad that day? How did they feel? How did the day go? That is a must for all children. And as far as leaving children alone, like some children need to, you have to see the age of the child. And that is why so many daycare centers have come up. Rather than leaving a child alone at home or alone with one servant or with one attendant, it is better that they're in a group of children being looked after, because then definitely they are safer.